greens are too strong. I don't like it. And I'm debating whether I want to get it reprinted with the greens toned down a little bit. Unfortunately, though, it wasn't the lab's fault. It was my fault. The file I sent them, I had pushed the greens a little too hard. And since it was my fault, if I get it reprinted, it's going to cost me full price a second time. So I'm trying to convince myself the greens aren't that bad, because I really don't want to pay another $100-something bucks to get it reprinted. But knowing me, it's going to drive me insane if I don't. Ah, damn it. I should have gotten a proof made. If I'd gotten a proof made, I could have caught this. And I always get a proof made before a big old print like this. Always. Except this time. I didn't do a proof this time because, what can I say? I got cocky. Basically, I get such consistent results from my lab that what I see on my monitor is always what I get from them. I've worked out all the kinks. I got calibrated monitors. I've done enough printing with them so that by now, what I'm seeing is what I'm getting. So I said, you know what, why do a proof? Why do a proof? I know how it's going to come out. It's going to come out like this. These proofs are a waste. But one thing I didn't factor in is maybe this isn't right. Maybe I overdid it on the editing. Basically, I'm making this piece for an art festival, and I'm on a little bit of a deadline. I'm getting a little bit worried about having the piece ready in time, and so I was rushing. Normally, I like to edit the file until I think it's ready to print, and then I sleep on it. So in other words, I don't send it yet. I go home, sleep, come back the next day, and then look at it again with fresh eyes. If it still looks good, then I send it off to the printer. But that's a good way to catch things that maybe I didn't notice because my eyes were getting a little weary the day before. And that seems to be what happened. I'd been looking at the picture for too long, my eyes were getting weary, and I didn't catch that I had pushed the greens too hard. So, lesson learned. Always get a proof made, and always give your eyes a break. Come back and look at the file the next day before you send it off. So now I have to take the file into Photoshop, tone the greens down a little bit, and then I'll send it back off to get printed a second time. But you know what? I think this time, I think I might do a proof. Maybe. About a month before the festival, the folks organizing the whole thing put on an orientation meeting at the location where the festival was going to be. They covered all the usual stuff, you know, what time to get there, where to unload your gear. Nothing too exciting. But there was one thing I was really looking forward to finding out at this meeting, and that is where my booth would be. Unfortunately, they had me all the way at the end of the festival. I really couldn't have been further away from the center of the action. And that was disappointing because I was worried about not getting any foot traffic. But it is what it is. Can't do anything about it. You just gotta move forward and hope for the best. Well, if you ever wonder what a one-bedroom apartment in Orange County, California looks like, here you go. There's no crown molding and not a ton of square footage, but these tall ceilings, oh, they're to die for. The canopy and walls for my booth have just been sitting in my storage unit. I haven't actually set it up since the last festival, which was quite a while ago. My plan was to set it up sometime this week, do a little dry run, make sure nothing's damaged, not missing any parts, and also just to make sure I still know how to set it up. But I'm not going to get time to do that. So that's going to make setup day, this Saturday, all the more interesting. If I don't know how to set this thing up or something's damaged, that's going to make for a fun morning. Just a few days until the festival, and I'm running a little behind on my preparation. I've had just way too many plates spinning lately with work-related stuff. They're good plates, fun plates, exciting plates, but they're plates nonetheless. So I've been spread a little thin. Today I'm making the info placards for the artwork, as well as the labels that go on the back side of each piece. The good news is I do have all the artwork, it's all done. I redid the Route 66 old garage piece, this time with the proper greens, and it came out much better. I got it mounted, framed. I think it looks beautiful. If it doesn't sell, I won't be completely heartbroken having to find a place for it in my home or office. And then I also decided to try something new. Giant Polaroid triptychs. How fun is that? So I wanted to make something that was a little more affordable and smaller. to kind of offset the giant expensive pieces. And I thought this would be a fun way to do it. It's just a print on Fuji Crystal Archive Pearl paper, like all my prints, done on white Sintra this time, with a luster lamination and then float mounted from the wall. But these are really making me wish I had a Polaroid SX70 camera that was big enough to take film like this. Mostly because it would be so obnoxiously loud. Choo-coom! I think that'd be fun. But now I'm just really hoping it's not going to rain at the festival, because it is in the forecast. And if it rains, that's really going to suck. Last year, there were only 55 days with measurable rainfall in beautiful Newport Beach, California. I don't know how many days of rainfall they've gotten this year, but I can tell you for sure they've had at least one. On October 13th, the day of the festival. It ended up raining pretty much all day, which was a real drag because it thinned out the crowds a lot. Southern Californians don't go out in the rain. They just don't. So the crowds were real thin. There was a break in the middle of the day, which was nice, but for the most part, people just didn't come out. But probably more depressing than the crowds being kind of thin is that a lot of artists bailed. They just didn't show up. I can't say I blame them. It was probably the right move, but it was just kind of depressing seeing like this half-constructed art festival with a bunch of vacant booth spaces. Now, between the rain and being all the way at the far end of the festival, needless to say, I didn't sell anything. So it'd be easy to look at this whole thing as like a big bust. What a waste of time, wish I hadn't done it. But I try and look at these situations as what's the good thing that came out of it. Number one is I had this moment on the day of the festival where I was sitting outside my booth, and it was real quiet, no one was coming in and out, and I just was kind of sitting there looking at my booth, looking at this little temporary gallery I'd set up, and I got this feeling, this strange feeling that took me a second to figure out what it was. That feeling was pride. I was feeling pride for what I created. I was proud of my work, I was proud of the gallery, I was proud of the way it all came together. I hadn't really felt that a whole lot recently, which I know sounds bad. It's not that I'm not proud of my work or proud of what I do. It's that I don't take time to sit and soak it in. It's so easy to get caught up in the, oh, okay, created it, done, move on, next thing. Let's create that, move on, next thing, move on. And you never take a chance to just kind of look at the thing you've created, look at the thing you've put all this hard work into, and just say, all right, feels good. So I think I need to make more of an effort to do that. Another benefit I had from doing this festival is I got to see 2 of my previous photography students were exhibiting in the same festival, which was so awesome because it's like seeing another part of my hard work from years ago coming to fruition in a different way. And then the final benefit I got, you know, a while back I was in a gallery in Laguna Beach, California, and it was mostly painters in that gallery. One of them, his name was Giorgio, and he's like one of the most positive, nicest guys I've ever met. And he told me once, you know, doing these galleries and doing these art festivals and everything, he really views it as a way to get spiritual currency, not physical currency. When people compliment your work, when people are engaged with your work, when people, you know, are getting an emotional reaction out of this thing you created, that feeds your soul in some way. I know I joke about that in my previous videos, feeding your soul and all that, but it's really true. You gotta do things that kind of give you that spiritual currency. I got a lot of that at this festival because although the crowds weren't coming out in droves, the people that came into my booth, I got a lot of really, really generous compliments and people telling me that, you know, the effect my work was having on them was just so positive and it felt so good, it made the whole thing worth it. Because I mean, after all, the reason I'm taking these pictures is because I want to share them with people. And I want to see what reaction I get from them and see how it makes them feel. That's what art does for me, you know? When I see a painter that really has a deep impact on me, I wouldn't trade that for the world because it's really nothing you can buy. So I'm always grateful for an artist that can kind of create an effect in me. So although, you know, the festival was ultimately just a bunch of work, and cost me a fair amount of money, and I didn't make any sales. Still worth it. Still going to do it again. I just hope it's not raining next time. Hope you enjoyed this journey. Go out and find yourself some spiritual currency. It's important. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.